Hey everybody, I'm Cece Trubiak and welcome to Cece's Vinyl Closet. Just follow the stairway to this lonely world of mine. You'll find me waiting here in apartment number 9. Oh, hey, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we are jumping right back in to the next honky tonk angel in line, and that's Miss Tammy Wynette. So in chapter 4, I'm going to be focusing specifically on the first 6 records of Tammy Wynette's career, which would have began in 1967 and to 1969. Not a lot unlike Loretta Lynn's background story, Tammy Wynette had some hard times from the moment she was born. I spent some time reading the book Stand By Your Man. If people want to learn more about the real details behind this beautiful singer's life story, check that book out. One thing I was able to ascertain about her early life was that she had hardship. She had a very musically talented father. She was an only child, but her dad died very young. She wasn't raised by her mother. She was raised by her aunt and uncle and had a cousin. Always loved the sound of Tammy Wynette's voice. She has that blend of like heartbreak and pathos. You know, she sounds vulnerable, but she sounds strong. And she can do up-tempo, she can do ballads. Now that I know a bit more about her life story, I can really hear that lived experience in her vocals. I think it's beautiful. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here. Tammy Wynette, who was born Virginia Wynette Pugh in Tremont, Mississippi, 1942, known by many as the First Lady of Country Music, Tammy, along with Loretta Lynn and Dolly Parton, were the leading ladies of country music. Trailblazers who successfully found a place within the country music scene in the mid to the late 1960s. Tammy had 42 plus studio albums to her credit beginning 1967 all the way up to her final album in 1995. Tammy passed away at the age of 55 in 1997, but her blend of tenderness and vulnerability became a recipe for success, and her influence still remains today. Word. A lot of people might already know this too, but if you don't, it's kind of cool. Before she became a very famous country music singer, Tammy Wynette was actually a hairdresser. Makes a lot of sense when you see a lot of the photos of her hair over the years. She had a wonderful sense of style for hair. The bigger the hair, the closer to God. While she worked as a hairdresser in Midfield, Alabama, in 1965, Wynette sang on the Country Boy Eddie show in WBRC TV in Birmingham, which led to performances with country music star Porter Wagoner. In 1966, she moved with her 3 daughters, Gwen, Tina, and Jackie, from Birmingham to Nashville, Tennessee, in the hopes of landing a record deal. All of this is basically just sums up her early beginnings. She had some hard times. She worked as a hairdresser. She could have gone down the route of marrying and having kids. Things didn't work out for Tammy in that sense, but they took her other directions. She had a lot of determination, and if love was not right, if life was not right, she found a way to make it better. So this is where you enter another very important person to the Tammy Wynette story, and that is Mr. Billy Sherrill, who was born in 1936 and passed in 2015. Billy Norris Sherrill was an American record producer, songwriter, arranger, and more importantly, he is regarded as one of the defining influences of countrypolitan music. In my previous chapter, I talked about countrypolitan as a sound, as a development in the late 60s, early 70s. I just want to emphasize again how much I love that sound. I've listened to Billy Sherrill and loved him for years without even knowing who this guy was. He, to me, is a dream producer. That countrypolitan sound is still something that I long to listen to in the records that I have. So I have to give props to Billy Sherrill for taking a chance on Tammy Wynette. They basically created magic. They struck gold. He produced a total of 31 of Tammy's albums, including her duet records with George Jones. Thank you for all of this music. Billy Sherrill, what a talented man. I've literally dreamed that that kind of thing could happen. March right into somebody's office, pick up my guitar and say, would you take a chance on me? I have a dream. Once she signed with Epic Records, this is where Billy Sherrill christened her as Tammy Wynette. She came in with her bleached blonde hair and a ponytail looking a lot like Debbie Reynolds in Tammy and the Bachelor. This is where he sort of offered the name Tammy Wynette, and bada bing, bada boom, the rest is history. This is important as well. Her first single, Apartment Number 9, just missed the top 40 in 1966, and her second single, Your Good Girl's Gonna Go Bad, peaked at number 3. Oh yeah, your good girl's gonna go bad. This song was just the beginning of a string of hits for Tammy that ran till the end of the 70s. The very first CD I ever had, it had like 20 superstar hits, mega hits of hers. Those were the ones, honestly, that up until this project again, I was mostly familiar with. This is why I'm here, the music. The stories are wonderful, but the music, it's incredible. So outside of talking about Billy Sherrill, there's 3 points I really wanted to make in this chapter. So in 1967, Tammy teamed up with American singer-songwriter David Houston for a duet album called My Elusive Dreams. I really enjoyed discovering this record. I thought that Tammy's only duet partner was George Jones, and even though they only had one album together, I think it's worth country music fans being familiar with this record. Their duets are beautiful. On my playlist, I select a solo song by Tammy, and it's called Set Me Free. Please go check that song out on the playlist. It's really beautiful. Her voice is incredible. Maybe what I'll just do is I'll play you the chorus of My Elusive Dreams, the big hit to come off of that. Very pretty sounding stuff. Check out this album with David Houston. I really want to give him his props because I discovered he had a very successful early recording career. He sang the very popular song Almost Persuaded that ends up on quite a few of these Honky Tonk Angels albums. So by 1967, he was already a well-established performer, whereas Tammy was not. Their collaboration meant a lot for her career, and I want to make sure that I acknowledge that. Let's move on. One of the names that just kept popping up in the liner notes as a Nashville-based American record producer and pedal steel guitar player was Mr. Pete Drake. I love pedal steel. I don't know why. It's one of my favorite instruments. I see your name all over these records, Pete Drake, and I've checked you out on YouTube. There's some really cool stuff that you've done. I also learned that he's the pedal steel player who played on Bob Dylan's Lay Lady Lay, which I have, that record. And I also have George Harrison's album with All Things Must Pass, and he apparently plays the pedal steel guitar on that one as well. So wow, thank you, Pete Drake. It's also time to take a moment to acknowledge the moniker that Tammy has of the First Lady of Country Music. So to this day, she's known for her anthems like Stand By Your Man or D-I-V-O-R-C-E. Those songs and other hits peaked the music charts in the late 1960s. What I really want to emphasize here is that she started in 67, but by 69, after 6 albums, she was very established as a hit maker, and her hallmark was the hit single Stand By Your Man, which she co-wrote with Billy Sherrill. That song apparently sold over 2 million copies worldwide. Another thing I really want to emphasize, she touches on it in her book, and there's so many articles about the song Stand By Your Man and how it really, was received. Even though it was a hit song, she took a lot of flack for it. She's even said at one time, it took me 15 minutes to write it and a lifetime to defend it. So if you're interested in knowing more about the history of the song, which is also always ranked as one of the greatest country music songs of all time, as it should be, what I want to say about it is that song marked #1 on the country music chart and number 19 on the pop charts. So there was like some crossover action happening there. The song became the best-selling single by a woman in the history of country music. In 1969, when Tammy Wynette's Greatest Hits album sold over 1 million copies, she became the First Lady of Country Music, and rightfully so. Raise the queen! Again, this is 6 albums in this chapter from 1967 to 69. I really would love to say I had a favorite one, but I don't. So I really can only encourage you to sample these records by checking out my playlist. Otherwise, go track these down. If you see these albums in garage sales this summer, go grab them, take a listen. You're gonna love and appreciate them the way I do. I guarantee it. But that pretty much wraps up chapter 4. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Please be sure that if you like this, hit the like button. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button. Share it. If you didn't like it, leave a comment. I'll get better, I promise. Thank you again for being here. That's pretty much it. Y'all come back now. You hear?